How was your lunch? Did you like that? Okay. Be sure to mark that on the evaluation on the table, so we'll keep giving that feedback to Sarah, so she'll keep you. Wow, I want to thank everyone for coming. This is the largest turnout we have ever had. So thank you all for coming. Thank you to our volunteer helpers. We have board members helping, other volunteer helpers who are faithful. And we couldn't do it without you guys. So it's a group effort. I have a few brief announcements and Buddy's going to dive in. So, because I'm not going to steal the limelight from her. But a couple of things coming up. We're working with UW-Oshkosh again on the well study. $30 to get your well tested. It's a great deal. And there'll be all the information's on here. There's a deadline registration, and then we're the ones that collect the samples in early April and ship them away. So if you're interested in this, we got a bunch of them up here. Just help yourself. Gary may be talking about this later, but we've been pushing this all along. These are 911 cards. We would love for you to fill one out and put it on the side of your fridge. We hope you never need to use it, but if Gary or his EMS crew comes in and you are unresponsive or nobody's there to tell your story, this gives them a lot of information quickly. So, and our island crew designed this, so it's pretty simplistic. We just want to know like medications, allergies, emergency contacts, your information, and any known medical conditions you think they should know about. So, if you can grab one of these and take it on your way home, that would be great. I think that's all I got, because you're doing the rest. There you go.
Well, welcome. And I just wanted to make it very, very, very clear that I know that today is not Valentine's Day. The reason that there are hearts and everything is themed that way is because February is Heart Health Month. So that's why. Okay, having said that, you're the largest group, as Christine just said, that we've ever had. And it's really impressive, and it has to do with our speaker. Most of you know me, but for those of you who don't, I'm Bunny Buxton. My husband and I, John, have lived up here permanently, been permanent residents for 20 years, and guests for 46 years. Though we cannot claim to be islanders, we are locals, which I just will picture. We're locals. So I want to introduce myself. Again, I am one of the staff members for WICHP, and my position is on the PEC. I am the Program and Events Coordinator. So when you see that's who I am. And in that capacity, I just want to take the opportunity to invite you to some of our upcoming events. Once a month, we've pretty much established on a Wednesday morning from 10 to noon, we have what's called Coffee, Cookies, and Conversation. It's at the Rec Center in the Mosley Room. It's very, very casual. It's free. And we have coffee and cookies and treats of all kinds and good conversation and trivia. Roxanne has been bringing a newspaper from 1962 with Island and Door County trivia. And then she brings some baked goods. And the person who gets the answer gets the baked goods. So just a little thing. Okay, so there's that. The next thing that's happening is on March 21st, we'll have our next luncheon. At that luncheon, Emily Small is coming to speak with us about the Island Radio. I don't even know how many of you realize we have one, and I'm sure that a lot of us are not connected with it in any way, shape, or form. So she's coming to talk about that. We do not have a speaker yet for April, but we're looking for somebody probably with some legalese and talk about, older people. But we also have one for our May speaker. It's kind of cute. Her title is Dementia 101. So, Dementia 101. And then finally, I'm going to read the mission statement for WICHP because the last event that happens this year is really important. So the mission statement for WICHP is, we seek to empower and support Washington Island residents across generations to make informed choices for a successful, healthy, safe, and independent lifestyle. WICHP establishes links between island residents and service providers not available on the island. We don't have the date again, but it's usually late May, early June. We have what's called an open house. And at that point in time, many of our providers that we work hand in hand with through the county come up and present here, right here in this room. They come up with all kinds of information that you can find out what incredible resources we have. You know, we don't have everything up here, but we have resources. So as soon as we've set the date, it will be on posters. We always hang posters at the churches, at Man's Store, at the rec center, at the community center, KK's, Wisco, electric company, trying to remember what else I've got, but look around, you'll find the posters. And then we try to get an email out to you also. Okay, I've talked enough. Thank you so much for coming. And our speaker, Gary.
Can everybody hear me okay? I never would have. I knew the heckler was going to be in the back. If she's not careful, up here. All right. If the heckler keeps up in the back, I'll make her get up here with me. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about a bunch of different laws that pertain to you guys if the ambulance comes. I'm going to talk about advanced directives a little bit. I'm going to talk about the DNR bracelets, all the things that, you know, towards your end of life, things you might want in place if you have wishes that you want your loved ones to know about. There's 4 different ones I'm going to talk about today, but a little bit of background. I've been an EMT for the state of Wisconsin since 1992, which makes me 13 years old. I moved up here in 2009, got hired by the police department, found out they had a rescue squad. I actually met Joan Hansen on my very first call. Tyler kicked me out of the squad car when he was training me and says, you probably should learn about the rescue squad too. So I got to be Joan's partner for a night, and that's how I met Joan. So I've been doing this will be my 31st year, 32nd year. 90% of it I used to be able to say was in Sheboygan County, no longer that way. I've been serving this community now for half of my career in EMS. This year will be my 15th year already on the island, so this is going to be a 2-year stepping stone for you guys. When we talked about it, after 2 years of being up here, I really wanted to be a canine officer. I wanted to be a school resource officer. That was kind of my goal in law enforcement. And after 2 years, my wife and I talked about it, and she says, well, you can move. So that's why I'm still stuck here. So just kidding. I'm not an islander, I think is how you put it. I'm a resident of the island. Yeah. From what I've been told, I'll never be an islander. I'm okay with that. I'll just be a visitor for a long time. So you're stuck with me. So a couple things. We do have a lot of show and tell. I'm going to pass out. Christine asked me to talk about a couple of the Narcan items, some medication safety if you have little ones coming into your house, the lock boxes. And I'm going to show you how you can get your DNR orders and all those things in place. I hope this is very interactive. I see it's just like high school, the front table's empty. So it's just like church and high school. So I'm going to, hopefully it's very interactive. If you have questions, hopefully I can answer them. If I don't answer them or can't answer them at the moment, I will get answers to you for your next meeting with Christine. So with that, we'll talk about advanced directives first. Some of the advanced directives you need to know about. Anybody know what they are? There's 4 of them in the state of Wisconsin. Advanced directives. So, DNR order. Yep, that's probably the most common, but it's also the most unknown about. And that's the one you really want to know about. If your wishes are not to be having CPR done on you, the DNR order is what's most important. The other ones, anybody Else for extra credit? Medical power of attorney, which is can we pull the plug, or the doctors pull the plug at the hospital? Do you want to be on life support? Do you want to be intubated? There goes one of my EMTs and my spouse, the one that made me stay here. Nice try. You can try to sneak out. So medical power of attorney, there's another one real close to that. Anybody know that one?
Living will?
Living will. And that basically says what you want done with your property. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And there's one more we're missing.
Financial.
Surrogate. Healthcare surrogate.
That falls under power of attorney.
Is it healthcare?
Yep. This is final disposition. What do you want done with your body when you're no longer here? So those are the 4 advanced directives in the state of Wisconsin. Those are all important because they can all be revoked by your family members. So if you want a DNR placed, you have to wear the bracelet that lets us know that you don't want CPR done, you don't want life-saving measures. But if you haven't had that conversation with your loved one, all they have to do is cut it off of you. Okay?
Wow.
If they don't have the bracelet, it is invalid. I know that's shocking to people.
Yeah.
Have that conversation with your loved ones. If the bracelet is not on the person at the time, we technically have to start CPR. Okay? In the nursing homes, a lot of times they'll stick them to the door. If you ever walk through Scandia Village down there, the people that have DNRs, they always have their bracelet on the door. The nurse can put it on at that point, but they don't put it on because a lot of times they cause issues. So, if it's not on, they do have to start CPR.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How about a necklace?
Necklace is fine. The bracelet is what state of Wisconsin says by statute it has to be on. Which gets me into a great thing with bracelets. There is there's 2, but really one bracelet company I suggest, and they don't pay me, so don't think that I'm getting a kickback. But it's actually done the correct way, and I do have some of the bracelet information here. Don't do like my mom did. She went and got a bracelet. It's really pretty, but you wouldn't know it was a medical bracelet. She went to a jeweler and had it made, and it's pretty. But I said, Mom, what are you doing? And she says, well, I don't want to wear the ugly DNR. Sorry, they aren't going to look at your tennis bracelet with this little charm on it. So, don't do like she did. I had to educate her on that and her diabetes one, because they were both very pretty. One was on the back of a watch. We don't look for watches. So, I do have the handout that does have the example of the bracelets that I'll cover here in a little bit. So, back to the Declaration of Physicians, is what it's technically called. It's the Wisconsin Living Will. It basically says that I don't want a feeding tube. I don't want life-saving measures if I'm a vegetable. And that's actually what the state statute says. I think it sounds horrible. They should change the wording. And then I don't want a feeding, I also don't want a feeding tube. So you don't want to be on a vent and you don't want a feeding tube. That is your living will. That has to be done with your doctor. It has to be signed by your doctor, sent to the state of Wisconsin, and at that point it's a legal document. Then you send it to the hospital or wherever your end of care could be. If it's Scandia Village, if it's at home, those are all things that are important to us.
Sorry.
Boy, if we only had a trained professional. If I only knew a good EMT. Joe.
Yeah, Joe, where are you?
Joe.
Thanks, Chris.
The power of attorney for healthcare. Sometimes these are known as as advanced directives, medical power of attorney. Those are all the different ones we already talked about. It focuses basically on naming a representative for you. This is the person that's gonna talk when you can't. This is the one that's gonna give the doctor your wishes if you're not in that vegetative state, that will say, no, this is how we want things to happen. That is not a DNR. Okay? That's the biggest one that people get confused, that they say, well, I have a power of attorney, they can make all the decisions for me. No, they can't. They can make decisions for you once you're at the hospital with your wishes. Does that make sense? Clear as mud? Okay?
So if you guys come to our house and I can't talk, my daughter can't say, don't resuscitate her.
No, not unless you have that bracelet on.
You have to try to resuscitate
Yeah.
her. Okay.
Yeah. Power of attorney can make decisions for you, like, let's say you're unconscious, you get to the hospital, they find cancer and they want to treat the cancer. The power of attorney can say, yes, let's do that. Okay? Yes, they can go into surgery to have their femur fixed if they're unconscious. They cannot make life and death decisions.
Gary, what if you had a printed copy of the DNR posted in lieu of the bracelet? Would that be legal or not?
No, not in the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Gotta have the bracelet. If you're in the process of getting the bracelet, we can make phone calls to our doctor and say, hey, we have a signed DNR order, the doctor signed it.
Okay.
But unless you have that bracelet on, there's no way to know. Go ahead.
So I'm not a Wisconsin resident for very long. For the power of attorney, if we're actually in the hospital, past all that, and we're in the hospital and a question about care comes up, is it assumed that your spouse can make that decision if you can't?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. In the state of Wisconsin, yes. So if you don't like your spouse, don't have her at the hospital with you. If you don't trust your spouse, I should say, not like your spouse. I don't know that I want my spouse making those decisions for me.
You can say that, she lied.
Right, exactly. Is this recorded?
All right, you said, if we wanna, say we wanna fix the leg or whatever.
Yep.
You said, yeah, you can say that. What if I say, no, I don't want you to do that?
This is for if you're unconscious and unable to make those decisions for
Right, but
yourself.
I mean, if the person that you picked
Yep.
can say, yeah, let's do that, can they say, no, don't?
If you've given your wishes, that's between you and your doctor at that point, the power of attorney and your doctor at that point. Most of those wishes would be talked about.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm asking that because, this was in another state.
Okay?
I didn't want something done for my dad, and my sister did. But there was no,
No legal paperwork?
either way,
Yep.
so they did it, and they made his end a lot harder.
Yeah. If there's only two of you, it's a 50-50 shot. They're always gonna err on the side of caution that the person that's unconscious would want this done if they were in a reasonable state. Meaning in the normal mind frame, if I'm conscious and alert and I break my leg, the normal person would say, fix my leg. So they're always gonna err on caution with the patient if there's a discrepancy with power of attorney. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's the state of Wisconsin. I can't speak for,
well, that's where I am now, so that's
Yeah.
what I'm interested in, and it's just that we had a hard time in another state.
Yep.
I didn't know if it's the same here or not.
it would be the doctor's discretion at that point on a 50-50. And they're always, like I said, they're always gonna err on the side of what would that patient normally say if they were in a normal state of mind.
But most people say I'm never in a normal state.
I don't judge. My wife would say the same thing about me. So, does that make sense? Ish?
It does. It just means that I'm gonna tell everybody if you fight my wishes with whoever I said, I'm gonna
Yep.
come back and haunt you.
Exactly, exactly.
No,
I saw a hand over here. No?
Connie, I have a question, I go to Connie first.
Connie.
I just want to know if your children would be, like a spouse, if your spouse is dead.
Yes, you can name anybody as your power of attorney. It doesn't have to be related.
So it's just,
It could be your lawyer.
thank you.
It can be. It could be anybody you want to name. It could be your favorite high school teacher, I don't know. Don't think they would let a dog, I would probably trust my dog more than my kids. I got a feeling that if I was in the hospital on life support, my kids would unplug the plug to put in their cell phone. I'm just saying.
Can you speak to the process of like activating a healthcare power of attorney?
Yep, we'll go through that.
Okay, perfect.
Any more on the medical power of attorney so far? All right, let's go to the next one. These are all clear as mud. Power of attorney for financial and property. That's a big fancy word for my will, right? Where's all my stuff gonna go? Who's gonna get my stuff? Is it gonna be the grandkids? My grandkids are gonna get it. Because I like my grandkids. So, this is the person that's gonna get your house, or is gonna go and deal with your house stuff. It's the guy that's gonna take care of all those investments that you had. It's gonna be, pick anything, you know, you have a favorite apple tree they don't wanna cut down, so you put that in there. It pretty much covers anything you want financially and property. Okay? You can do that one with your lawyer. You don't need anything other than your lawyer. You can, from what I understand, you can even do that one. You go to the Wisconsin DHS website.
Yeah.
You can print that one off and you can write it yourself, get it notarized, and that's as good as gold. So, good.
Does the state of Wisconsin recognize a trust or a
Yes.
will from another state?
Ooh, I will get back to you on that one. I don't know on other states. I would bet yes, but I'm not sure.
I would say no. We had that situation with my mother. She moved from Illinois. We consulted an attorney and she had to have everything rewritten.
Okay, that's somebody that went through it, but I will still look it up.
Gary, aren't there some distinctions between executorship and durable power of attorney for finances?
Yes, and that gets money.
Yes.
Yeah. Trust everybody that you're putting in your will. And I went through it with my father-in-law and my wife and my brother-in-law. And the executor, they actually have rights to your stuff. So they can actually, they have a lot of power. So I would make sure that's somebody that you trust. But yeah. Okay, perfect. Whew. Doing well so far. All right. Property, financial, everybody clear on? Again, get your lawyer to sign off on it. They make some really good packets. You can go online, they have a make your own will now. I think it costs like $60 if you wanna not have it through a lawyer, you just have to have it notarized. And then you name your executors and those things inside there. So, authorization for final disposition. This is where you tell them, I want to be in a pine box or I want to be cremated. Right? I want to end up as not an islander in the island cemetery. This is where that would come in. If you want to be buried in Belize, this is all the things that you can name in your final disposition. Okay? So it's a cremation process or a funeral process. You can actually go and have your funeral home be your final disposition person. So you can go pay for your funeral, you can tell them what music you want, all the stuff's handled for you before you even pass away. Your loved ones don't have to deal with it at all. So, I believe Casperson's does something similar to that. They have a final disposition that they'll handle for you. So, again, not a DNR order. They can't say, you know, it's bad for business to save them, so. Right? So. Any?
I just, we had friends that were going to leave their bodies to science, which is great, but you also have to have an alternate, which this person did not have.
Yes.
Because when the person in question passed away, there was nobody that wanted it.
Yeah.
And then they didn't know what to do.
The other problem is with the science stuff, The other problem with that is, again, you have to talk to your loved ones. So on the back of your driver's license, you can choose to be a donor. Do you know in the state of Wisconsin, that's not guaranteed?
Yes. Yes, it's never guaranteed.
Yeah, I can still say no if my wife wants to be a donor. Yeah. Yeah. So, if you want your body to go to science, you better talk to your kids, you better talk to your spouse, or anybody that's in your living will paperwork, and have that conversation that's what I want done. Now, obviously, I would never get in front of my wife and say, no, you know what, University of Madison doesn't get your body. I wanna try to get you as an islander and put you in the cemetery. I don't know. But it has to be the living person makes the last decision on that. So just because you have I wanna be a donor on your driver's license doesn't mean that's guaranteed. Have those conversations with your loved ones. Okay?
Now, is there a limit of age to be a donor? Like, I'm too old who wants to?
No, you're not.
No?
No. They'll take anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, because they need to practice.
Yeah. Science is interesting, because end of life science is also a science. So. Mhm. Yeah.
Can the science reject you? In other words, I leave my body to science, and they said we don't want it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because they might not have room for you at that time.
Oh, okay.
I got to go to a conference, this was probably, I'd say 17 years ago, 18 years ago, where I actually got to go watch an autopsy. Talk about an interesting experience. As a new EMT, I say new EMT because you're not an old EMT until got 30 years in. As a new EMT, it was really interesting to see how the body worked from that. So it's a great program, but they also didn't have a lot of room. So the next guy that went down, actually they did the autopsy on a pig. So it's interesting. You have a question?
Yeah, more and more, talk about leave your body to science.
Yep.
More and more of the medical schools are dropping active dissection. When I'm an old guy, when I went to medical, everybody, the four of us had a body. Jerry Hinkle was one of my 4 people. But more and more they're going to not using that. It's time consuming, it's expensive.
It's very expensive.
You know, who wants an old body?
Yeah. The other thing you can do is you can contact the schools. I know University of Madison, you used to be able to contact the school and say, I want to go there. I don't know if that's still true. So, a question in my hands over here. Did I answer everything so far? Okay, DNRs. This is the tricky one. Anybody know what a DNR covers? This is the one people always get mad at me for. You have to do it right. I mean, you are basically saying that I'm not going to save this life as an EMT. So, anybody know what's covered?
Nope.
No?
You mean what functions are covered?
Yep. So can I put oxygen on you?
I would say no.
Yes, I can.
You can?
Yeah. Can I intubate you?
No.
No. Can I suction your airway?
Yes.
Yeah. Intubated is actually going down taking over the airway, basically. Can I give you cardiac medications? No.
I'd say no.
Can I give you albuterol?
Yes.
For asthma? Yes, I can. Yes. So basically, it's a life-saving. Can I splint your leg on a femur fracture? Now, this is the biggest bone in the body. It's the one that causes death. In all of our broken bones, it's probably the number 1 for death. So think of it that way, with a DNR, can I splint your femur?
Yes.
Yes, I can. So it has nothing to do with your living. Okay. Can you name, yes?
If somebody has overdose and has a DNR, you couldn't, give an
So that one's going through the Supreme Court right now. We don't know the answer to that, to be real honest. We would have to call the hospital right now and say, you know, this isn't what they think they're dying from, they overdosed. Right now, the state is saying, yeah, we can give Narcan, but we can't do CPR in the airway. But I think that's gonna change, because it's life-saving. Narcan is life-saving. So I would bet that Narcan is gonna be on the list of things we can't do very soon. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what things can you not do?
I can't do chest compressions. So I can't do CPR, okay? Right, the beauty of the DNR is it's all spelled out really pretty for you. It says exactly what you can and cannot do. So it says that I can clear your airway. I can suction you, I can clear your airway, make sure you can breathe normally. I can give you oxygen. I can put you in a position of comfort. I can transport you in the ambulance. I can splint, I can control bleeding, even though, like Narcan, if I don't split bleeding, it will also cause death, possibly. I can give pain medications, well, we can't, but the paramedics can. Provide emotional support, obviously, we do that anyway. I can contact hospice or the home health agency, and that's about it. And the things I can't do, there's 5 of them. Perform chest compressions, insert the advanced airway. Now that doesn't have to be intubating completely. There's another airway we use that's considered an advanced airway. We can't do that. I can't give you the cardiac medications. I can't put you on a ventilator, and I can't use a defibrillator. Everything else I can do.
Gary, what's the logic where you can administer oxygen, which I would think would be could be life-saving?
It's not anymore. We rarely give oxygen anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, they've actually figured out that we can actually stop breathing by giving oxygen.
Oh.
When I started in '92, we put oxygen on for toe pain. Joan, am I right? I mean, pretty much when I started, if you didn't put oxygen on a patient, you were getting yelled at by a doctor. Now it's just the opposite. If I put oxygen on a patient that doesn't need it, I get yelled at by a doctor. So, yeah.
So how many are there?
Yep.
What can't we then call 911?
What happens? Any type of chest pain, we would call for a helicopter. That's one of the things we'll talk about here. Because you need to go to Green Bay. Sturgeon Bay is not a cardiologist hospital. They are not doing open heart surgery. They're not doing all the fancy surgeries. We would go down to Green Bay for that. And the logic behind the helicopter, how many people in here are on Medicare? Just roughly. Okay. I can't wait. I'm so jealous. I am getting my AARP magazine now. The Medicare, last time I heard, is paying almost all of it. I don't know if we... All of it? Okay. So when we say we're going to call the helicopter, please don't freak out. And everybody you're going to talk to up here says it costs $34,000 to take the helicopter. Ish. Yeah. If you don't have insurance, you don't have Medicare, you don't live in the state of Wisconsin, you don't talk to the people that run the helicopter, there's grants and things out there for you. Last I heard was 17,000, John, roughly, I think is what they told us last time. But Medicare, the last one before I just heard this, I heard $1,000 comes out of pocket. So I don't know what plans, I'm not an insurance person, but they cover most of it. So please don't freak out when we say we're going to call the helicopter. Yeah. Okay? The helicopter company that we've been using mostly, because they're on a Green Bay, they're our primary, is Eagle 3. You'll see them up here. Last year we transported 21 patients by helicopter. It was our biggest year ever for helicopter usage. We had the U.S. Coast Guard coming twice because the ferries wouldn't run and we had a critical patient. And other than that, pretty much everything went by ferry.
from the time you make your response call, what's the time it takes them to get here?
You want the commercial answer, you want my real answer? Okay, I'll give you the commercial answer first. What they're telling us is in 32 minutes from lift up, they can be on the island. We're averaging 50 to an hour and 15 minutes.
Yep,
Wow.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, I'll have you at the hospital before you would make it to Sturgeon Bay though.
Yep.
That's the big one. Yeah, last helicopter we had, it came out of Green Bay, it was about 50 minutes. So, but you figure by the time I get to the ferries and over to the other side, in ice is probably 40. By the time I wake up a ferry captain, he gets a crew, he gets the boat warmed up, and we go. It's still a lot sooner than the ferry will get you there. We have 3 major hospitals we go to right now. And again, I'm not paid by the hospital, I wish I was. I'd make a lot more money by doing this talk. Aurora Bay Care, Bellin, and St. Vincent's are our big 3. And those are level 1 trauma centers. Those are our big guys. Those are the ones you want to go to.
Who makes the choice as to which hospital?
If you don't tell me, I make the choice, or the crew on the ambulance that day. Now, we know the capabilities of each hospital. We know Aurora Bay Care is very good at trauma. We know St. Vinny's is probably one of the better stroke hospitals. Bellin's a good at heart hospital. So we kind of know their specialties, and we know also we get information that they might not have a surgeon today, or the surgery center's down because they had some gas in the basement at Bellin that day. I don't know if anybody saw the news where they had to evacuate the whole hospital. We were given a heads up on, don't bring anybody here. Yeah, they won't go there.
So it doesn't matter who your specialty doctor is.
If you have a specialist, we would go to your hospital. We would rather go to your hospital if you have a specialist and you're already, so let's say you're a patient of Aurora Bay Care. If you say that, I want to go to Aurora Bay Care, I'll take you wherever you want to go.
But the doctor may not be there, as you just mentioned.
But he'll have staff.
Yeah.
So, or they'll divert you. The ER, the helicopter will talk to the hospital will tell you that, don't come here, we don't have that guy today. So go to Bellin.
Okay.
So the hospitals are very good about sharing, which is strange. It doesn't happen very often, but in a critical situation, it happens a lot. So I hand over here.
What gets you a helicopter ride?
What gets you a helicopter? What wins you the helicopter lottery?
Besides the chest pain.
Symptoms of stroke, major traumas, falls over 20 feet, and heart attack, or suspected cardiac. Those are your, you win. Those are the big ones. Car accident with a death in the car will automatically get you a helicopter. So that's just a mechanism of injury issue for us. If it was bad enough that somebody died inside a car crash, everybody else probably
Needs to be looked at.
needs to get looked at by a specialist.
In a hurry.
Those are the big ones though. And ferry line not running.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another one.
Then you can get one from the U.S. Coast Guard. That one gets interesting because we actually have to send our crew with the Coast Guard. And then we get dropped off and we have to find our own way home. They're really good at giving us a one-way trip. They won't give us a long trip. So, yeah.
I learned early on when we moved here from Pete that as a woodworker, me cutting my thumb off is not going to get me a helicopter.
It will not get you a helicopter. It will get you a bag of ice and a cooler. And we do have a cooler on the ambulance, so you're good.
It's hard to hitchhike.
It is hard to hitchhike, but it's easy to dial 911. So,
I have 2 questions.
Yep.
One is the Coast Guard, does it come from Traverse City?
yes,
Yes, okay. From Munson, probably, over there,
yes.
which is a major trauma center too. Would they ever come here and take you to Traverse City?
Where did our one go? Marinette that time? They'll take you to the closest hospital.
Okay. Well,
That's
sometimes
open.
it's Traverse City.
It could be Escanaba. I'm trying to think of where Lou ended up having to hitchhike home from. Lou Small, one of our EMTs, early in his career had to hitchhike home. He didn't have his wallet, he didn't have his. So.
The other question is there been any movement at all in getting insurance to pay for the ferry ride? I was working with Joel Kitchens about 4 years ago and talking to Adam about that, and everybody thinks that insurance should cover it, but it had something to do with a ferry being labeled an emergency vehicle or some silly thing like that. However, the ambulance goes down to the ferry dock on a county highway. You go across the water, you get on that same county highway and continue. So how do they expect the ambulance to drive on the county highway when a whole bunch of it is water?
So I will tell you, your insurance will pay for it.
It will.
If you don't want the ambulance covered. Most insurances will pay for one mode of transportation.
One or the other.
Oh, like ambulance.
But can we ever get that changed?
That is way above my pay grade. That's an insurance issue. Yeah. So they will pay for one mode of transportation, from what I'm understanding, is they will either pay for your ferry trip, which is $500, or the ambulance, which I don't even know what it costs, to be honest with you.
Better off.
You are way better off having them pay for the ambulance, I would bet.
So we need to work on insurance paying for the whole trip.
Now, I have heard that there have been patients that haven't been getting a bill from the ferry. I don't know that for sure. So, it might be getting worked on.
We were told, or I was told that definitely now, Door County EMS is billing that, but.
Yes, so what's happening right now is the ferry is paying, the Door County ambulance is paying for the ferry, and I don't know if Door County is turning around and charging.
Yeah, I don't know how that's working.
I don't know how that's working yet.
Me either.
Yeah.
I know that I went across and it was actually a regular scheduled trip on the ambulance.
Yep.
And I don't recall getting the bill or the insurance.
If it's a regular scheduled trip, it's only the normal rate. So you probably would not see.
It's not much.
Yeah, it would be the whatever, $57. They don't count, we don't count, the ambulance crew doesn't count. You pay for a car and one person.
Yeah, you.
You.
I was there when he went, and it was like about 80 some dollars for the brig.
So go down, sign a refusal, walk on the boat. No. Test.
Give me any ideas.
Yeah. All right.
We have a limited number of EMTs on the island. Yeah, I'm not sure, when you guys take somebody off the island by the ferry,
Mm-hmm.
do you transfer ambulances to get down to?
Hopefully.
Okay,
Hopefully.
because that means you're able to come back to the island
Yeah.
immediately.
In 15 years, I transported all the way down to the hospital twice in my career up here. And that's because they had the shipwreck fire going on, and the other one was another major thing happening in the county that they just didn't have any ambulances left. So then I had to go.
Normally, they would send an ambulance up to
Yep.
meet the ferry.
Yep, we'll meet over on the side of the road. It's the only place I've ever been in the world where you don't transfer a patient in an ambulance bay. It's kind of interesting. We do it on the side of the road and try to do the best we can for dignity.
Okay, here's a great example that Mary just showed me. She hands me her keys with a little bracelet on it. I said, oh, look at this, my ID. Her medical ID bracelet is on her key ring. So I said, you have to wear this. So there you go, just a good example, real time.
It's pretty though. As my mom would
Like,
say.
we're not gonna go and look at your car if we have a medical emergency.
Okay, that's all we
If I'm looking for that bracelet, I probably cannot talk to you. That's the key. Does that make any sense? The questions, the ferry line stuff? Last I heard, Door County is working with the ferry. I don't know the answer. That's public safety and a bigger problem than me. But they were trying to get where Door County would bill you. They would sneak it under somehow underneath your Medicare, and then you wouldn't be charged for the ferry. Don't be surprised if you still get a ferry bill.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. Traverse City, talk about the helicopter from, did you know it takes an act of God to get a helicopter from Traverse City? So we had a very critical patient that both helicopters wouldn't fly, the ferry line wouldn't fly. It was one of our crummy nights. 45-mile-an-hour winds, which the Coast Guard says, psh, that's not wind. They're used to flying in the Bering Sea, so they don't care about wind. That was the least of their worries. I actually had to have a conference call with the U.S. Coast Guard surgeon in Washington D.C. for 45 minutes before they could tell me they could fly. It's not an easy process. We do not want to go by U.S. Coast Guard helicopter. They have no medical equipment anyway. All they are is a big ambulance that makes a lot of noise. Okay, they have no medical. They have a swimmer, so if you fall out of the helicopter, they can help. In the helicopter, they're not any good. So.
Yeah, talk to Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin.
I would love to jump out of one of those helicopters once. I was a lifeguard for years, so I thought that'd be fun. Once. Not anymore. Now it hurt a lot more than in my 20s. Okay. Any other questions on advanced directives? Have I answered all of them? So when I come to your house and you give me a power of attorney, understand that that is as good as the stuff you guys are throwing away in the garbage to me in an emergency. Power of attorney means nothing to me. DNR is what you need. If your wishes are that we don't start CPR, the DNR order is about the only thing that's going to make that happen.
And the bracelet has to be on.
And it has to be on.
Okay, so I have no DNR, you haul me to the hospital, how then does my power of attorney then kick in for the hospital?
Because they're going to call your loved ones. Yeah, and you're probably going to already have that on your medical chart. That's the nice thing is once you get all that taken care of, you hand it to your doctor, they actually chart that on your chart, and they'll know who your power of attorney is, which is very important. Just have to make sure that's not the sheriff's department. It's been that kind of day, so.
Talking about notifying people, years ago, there was some sort of a program called ICE.
Yes.
And is that still going?
It is a fantastic program.
In case of emergency,
Yeah.
OCE on your cell phone.
Yes.
Which gives them the number to call.
What's the problem with that?
Passwords.
Stupid passwords. Okay, so ICE. ICE is information contact or emergency contact information, right? You put it in as ICE in your phone. That tells me who you want contacted. There's something about search warrants and things that I can't just take your thumb and put it over top of your cell phone to open up your phone. That's against the law under the 4th Amendment, search and seizure, so I can't. Even our EMTs are held to that. So unless your phone is open, we can't do anything about it. We can't go in, use your thumbprint, use your, open up your eye and put your phone there. Can't do any of that.
Can we put it as like a sticker on
Yes.
the back of our phone?
Yes. If you put it on there giving anybody that needs to get in my ICE contact information, you can open my phone, that would be good.
If you're awake and alert, is there a way, or do you make the determination whether an emergency vehicle takes you, or can you refuse to do it?
You can absolutely refuse to go to the hospital, and that's one of the things we're gonna talk about next. What happens when I call 911? Right? You get everybody. Well, no, it's not true. You do get quite a few. So currently right now, I have 24 EMTs and first responders on this island. We are very blessed.
Yes.
There are communities in Wisconsin that can't get one person to go to the station. Okay? I know of a chief that I went to high school with, I went through EMT class with, he's a chief over in Stevens Point. In one of their rural areas, they have no first responders. Not one.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, one of my other hats, when I came up here, I thought, boy, I hated school so much. I want to be a school resource officer, and I also want to teach EMS. So I put myself through teaching classes, and now I'm the instructor for Washington Island for EMT, EMR, first responder. Thank you for being here on heart health. myself because I'm also a CPR instructor for the American Heart Association. All my many hats I do. So I actually teach for the college. I've been very blessed to have people come and take my class. I will tell you that I'm running out of bodies. Yeah, we have 26 right now, but I am within probably, I just sent Andy, Karen, my fear in the next 10 years is I will not be able to recover my 1-for-1 retired versus new. So that's what scares me. The beauty of Stephen's Point and that rural community is there's another community right next door that will show up. So I'm a little worried about the future right now. We aren't having young kids, but COVID actually helped us. Seems weird, right? But what's the difference with COVID? People stayed home, they moved here, they can do online classes, they can run their business.
They're younger.
They're not moving away. They're a lot younger.
And they're younger.
Yeah, but getting a 296-hour commitment for EMT, that's just EMT classes. 296 hours. That's not including the study time that is probably triple that. Because I'm not an easy instructor. My wife will tell you. So one time I got to fail her. So in case I haven't told everybody, my wife was my high school tutor. That's how much I hated high school. So I married my high school tutor. It's a lot easier.
Gary, is it completely pointless for somebody to have any emergency information at the clinic? Because they're gonna be bypassed.
No, it's not horrible because once you get down to Door County Medical Center, they can access those records.
Okay.
I am not calling the clinic. I can't. It's against the law.
Oh, okay.
Okay? It's a HIPAA violation.
Okay.
That's why we don't go to the clinic anymore. We used to, back before, I think, how long did we, I think it was here for probably 4 years when we still went to the clinic. This is the only place in the world that transported people to clinics. It was kind of strange to me. Why would it, if you call 911, why wouldn't you want to go to a hospital where they can actually fix your things? So that was just my take on it. It was weird to me because, again, most of my time at that point was down in the cities where you had a hospital, you didn't go to the clinic. I saw another hand. No?
Maybe you answered it.
Okay. Let's see. How do I get in your house if you call 911 and your door is locked? Size 11 and a half. Okay, that's not a joke. If I can't get in the house, the EMTs can kick in your door if you call 911.
Yep.
Everybody, what's that?
Can the door be kicked in that easily?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. These doors?
I won't scare you because nobody on this island locks their doors anyway. So first you have to find your key. That's the key to it. Okay? So when you call 911, your phone call goes down the Sturgeon Bay. Okay? Door County Sheriff's Department answers that phone. 911, what's your, I know this really well because I called 911 yesterday.
Yeah. What's the address?
What's the address of your emergency? And that's how they sound. They sound so helpful. And then they start yelling at you for calling 911 on accident. So you call 911, it goes down to the Sheriff's Department. They then have to set off my pager and say what the problem is. The biggest problem we have is the information that you have, giving it to the dispatcher, her putting it in the garbage disposal, spitting it back out, and then sending it to our pagers is a problem. Not your problem, it's our problem. We don't have the right information. So when we hear, let's say, an 8-year-old has drowned in Schoolhouse Beach, how many first responders do you think you're gonna get?
Everybody.
All 26 of them. Yeah. When we get there and we found out it was an 80-year-old that fell on the beach, everybody goes, we can take a deep breath, right? And then we send everybody home. So yeah, you're gonna have, depending on the call, you could get 26. If CPR is in progress, all the things. Our average right now, I guarantee you're gonna have 2 EMTs show up to your house with an ambulance. That I can guarantee you because I schedule it. That is 100% guaranteed. If the pager goes off today, Joan and Lee are gonna be your EMTs until 6 o'clock. But that's when the shift changes tonight.
Why do you have the siren going when you're like going at midnight and there's no traffic on the road?
Because state law says I have to.
Yep.
So, I can't have my lights on without my siren. That's state law.
Yep.
Okay? The only people that can break that law is me and Tyler. Because if there's a crime in progress, we can actually shut down our siren before the lights. That's in state statute. But yes. Now, if you say dispatch, I'd like a silent run, that doesn't mean we're coming silent. It means we will choose if the emergency matches what you're doing. And I will tell you, I have EMTs that hate the siren, including my wife and Joan. Joan will tell you, she hates the siren.
It wasn't even to our house, it just went by our house. And
Yep.
Everybody wakes up, you know.
Well, our emergency should be everybody else's emergency.
No, I mean, in our house, you know.
We're all about waking everybody up. If I have to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so should everybody else. That is not the reason.
This is Mike's question to you guys, not
Yeah.
mine.
No, I get it. So yeah, no, you can ask for a silent run. Yeah, you do hear them all. So you can ask for a silent run. If you tell me you're having chest pains, your face is drooping, and you know you can't feel the left side of your body, the odds are I'm still gonna come lights and sirens, even though you asked me not to. So.
There's a question.
Yes.
When do you ask for a silent run? Like when the ambulance gets there?
You can ask dispatch. You can ask them whatever you want, and they will tell us whatever you tell them, but the odds are we're not gonna listen to them.
So I know when you come to, say, pick me up,
Yep.
and I'm awake, can I ask you for a silent run?
Most likely we are gonna be a silent run once we pick you up. Most likely. Okay? Your condition will determine if our lights and sirens are gonna go on. We don't do lights and sirens just to get the tourists out of our way. I wish we could.
That's what
It'd be
we're
great.
anyway.
Because I would run lights and sirens all the way through the town. No. Very rarely do we have our lights and sirens on from the home. The only time we really do, obviously, is if you're a critical patient and I need to get you that ferry, and I've already woken up Joel and Hoyt to start the boat, we're probably going lights and sirens. Answer your question? 98.555% we aren't running lights and sirens from the house. The county actually can go lights and sirens in the middle of summer just for fun. They actually have an ordinance that allows our ambulance to go through the county, lights and sirens because of the tourism.
Yep.
They can actually come back lights and sirens if we're short-handed.
Yep.
Only place in the world. It's kind of cool. But our closest ambulance is Sturgeon Bay, secondary, after North Ambulance is out. Yep.
We have a box at our house where you have a key to get in.
Yep, we'll talk about that in a second.
That was my question too.
That's where we're going next, because she asked how I get in the house if I don't have a key. And I told you 11 and a half. The only other way, if you want to keep your door, is to invest in a $100 box. This has a key that only 5 of us on the island have the key for. We had to go through background checks in order to do it. I had to actually send it into the FBI that allows us the key to open this thing up. And if we open it up, we have to contact dispatch at the same time. It's $100, you put your key in here, I don't make any money on it. This thing costs the fire department $101. You're getting a bonus for $100.
Can we open it up and change the key?
No, you can never open it except for Tyler, myself, the fire chief, my assistant chief on the EMS, and the assistant chief of the fire department are the only ones that have keys.
Change my key then.
Yeah.
So Chance?
We will come and change. I just changed one yesterday on one of our residents that they had their whole house relocked.
So chances are somebody in the rescue squad has the key to get into the box.
We have one on one of the ambulances. We have one key on one of the ambulances, and we have one key on one of the fire trucks. That only the on-call crew can use. They actually have to call dispatch, identify themselves, and why they need to get in that house.
Did you just say you all installed them?
I do install
Okay.
them. I install them for absolutely nothing. I come over, I install it, and then what I do is I call dispatch and let them know exactly where the key is, where the box is. So if I'm not here, dispatch will say there's a lockbox on the southeast corner of the house. If you ask me to hide the key, I will not do it for you. It is gonna be an ugly piece of jewelry on the front of your door. Doesn't do me much good to hide it.
Yeah.
How would you deal with dogs in a house, somebody's passed out and they're
Hope somebody knows the dog. I've only been bit twice on the island from dogs, and they're always the small ones. I don't mind big dogs. I have 3 dogs myself. We have a lot of dog lovers on our squad. I miss having Linda on our squad because she was our dog keeper. Linda knew every dog on this island when she was with us. Now that she's retired, we don't have that luxury anymore. Because Linda would just say, I'll take the dog. Perfect. No, we have catch poles and stuff in the squad cars. I have a dog catch pole that, if it's really nasty, we can take care of it.
You got a pistol too.
What's that?
You got a pistol too.
That's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of paperwork. Okay, that answers your question. Yeah, we have 2 catch poles. We were actually given to us by whoever ran the Milwaukee Zoo at the time. They donated 2 catch poles. It's kind of cool. They had a little grant that said anything you need. I said, catch poles. In case we ever have a lion.
Well, we did have
Or a
a
bear.
ostrich.
Yeah. So yes, we can do that. Yep.
Just really quick on the lockbox, because we have one. Can you just let them know, like you put a little sticker
Yep.
on the fire number?
So
And then
open
if
this
they
guy
want
up just so you can
written
see how
info, there.
pretty it is. Everybody know who Kitty alarms are? Your smoke detectors, Kitty? That's who makes this system, which is kind of nice. So this is what the box looks like. It's ugly, it's waterproof. I don't have one on my house. If you can get past the German Shepherds, just walk in. So, at some point I will have one on my house, I just haven't. I was trying to get everybody else's done first. Like I said, I put one on our house yesterday. I try to put it by the front door or your most used door. What I mean by that is, I know some people that you can't see the front door. And we know that it's a side. The one I put on yesterday was actually on a back door, but everybody on our rescue squad knows that's the only door they use. So we try to put it by the most used door. Again, I'll take notes, I'll send it down to dispatch, they'll put it on your call screen. So if you call 911 from your house, it will tell me exactly where that box is. So it's kind of a nice thing. I think currently we have 85 of them put out. I think I have 15 back at the office yet. So we're doing pretty good. It cost us $85 so far. That's t-shirt sales for the fire department, so it's something we think is important. And all we're looking to do is cover the cost of the box, so.
Now, do you have something identifying addresses that already have them?
Yep, so I actually have a red sticker on all the fire boxes that already have them. It sits right on their fire number, so when rescue squad shows up, fire department, law enforcement shows up, we know it's there. We can call dispatch and say, we're gonna need the law enforcement to show up if they can't find their key for some reason. Okay, it's a great program.
Well, seems like all this is if I am at home, but if I am out for a walk and I have a stroke or a fall down, how can you find me?
Your cell phone, if you call 911, does anybody know how they pick up where you're at? I can give you a whole history lesson of how the cell phone system works. So the current cell phone system right now in Washington Island is pretty good. It takes 3 towers. Your phone has to bounce off 3 different towers, your GPS. And by doing that, they can triangulate within, the furthest one I've had so far is about 400 feet. That's the furthest, and that was up in Jackson Harbor area, where they weren't hitting the 3rd tower, they were only hitting 2 towers. So it got us pretty close. But yeah, if you call 911, your phone's gonna lock out. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get any phone calls yesterday. It was kind of nice, my phone didn't ring, but it's because they blocked out my phone because I called 911.
Gary, what about dead zones? Are dead zones gonna mess up that triangulation?
Yes, but they're getting better. The two cell phone companies on the island have done a really nice job, along with the new fiber project. They've been doing a fantastic job. They added 2 micro towers, they call them.
Yeah.
One is right in front of the REA, or I don't know, the co-op. The other one, they just put one down at Schoolhouse Beach. Has anybody gone down there? You can actually make a phone call from Schoolhouse Beach down on a Cellcom phone. I can't do it. I have 2 different phones. I have a personal phone, my work phone. I can't call from my US cellular phone. I can from my Cellcom phone.
Yes.
If that helps you pick up phone, again,
Just, you talked about if you call 911, they lock you out?
yeah, because they have to be able to get a hold of you. And so if you call 911 and hang up, so yesterday, I don't know if anybody saw, US Cellular was down. So I put something out on Facebook yesterday, so I called 911 to make sure it worked. That's how I knew that 911 was working. They'll actually, the phone will lock you out for up to a half hour.
Oh, I was gonna, but then it will.
It will recycle, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of neat. I was like, well, this is weird. My daughter says, I tried to get a hold of you for lunch. And, yeah, well, sorry.
So just go back to Patrice's question there, you know, when you're out on a walk or something, a lot of people have Apple Watches too.
Oh, the worst.
Save a life, Gary.
In law enforcement, Apple Watches are my least favorite thing. Secondary are camp chairs. Those are the 2 things that's called 911 in Door County the most. Those camp chairs where everybody's supposed to put their adult beverage. That's what it's for, it's not for cell phones. So what happens is if you put, depending on which phone you have, if you push this side button long enough,
It'll call.
it will automatically call 911.
Yeah. It's the same.
It was a great system for what it was designed to do. The guy that created the system had a college daughter that might have been walking in places she shouldn't have. She got attacked. They attacked the wrong person. She was a black belt in 3 different martial arts.
Yes.
He paid for it. But that's when he came up with the app. So you can actually sit here, you can actually put the phone in your pocket, you can push that button, and nobody would ever know.
Yep.
The problem with camp chairs are they are just the right size to hold that button down for that amount of time.
Oh, no.
The other thing is, the Apple Watches do have the same thing, you can turn it off, is if you hold that for too long, and everybody knows in the state of Wisconsin, we never wear sweatshirts, never wear jackets or gloves that we push on that button.
Yep.
So that's what we see a lot of. So just be careful on the,
I notice if I try to turn off my phone, it comes the emergency contact
Yep.
list. Would that work?
Yes.
If I am unconscious and.
yes.
So would I need a passcode?
No.
Are you saying you already called 911?
No, let's say if I turn it off, it comes here and, medical aid.
Yep.
Or I can then,
Yes.
fill out my information.
So even if your phone is locked, it will still do the buttons.
Okay,
Yep. 911.
right, well,
And so you could see her emergency.
It would get us close.
Medical alert necklaces?
Yes.
Do they work up here?
Yes.
Where do I get them?
WICHP.
That's a professional right there. I would talk to her. She knows which ones work up here. You're putting in one tomorrow, I believe.
Saturday.
Or Saturday.
Yeah, I'm putting one in.
Sorry, tomorrow's my Friday, or today's my Friday, so tomorrow is Saturday for me.
Don't rub it in.
I don't get it off. I'm on the ambulance tomorrow, so if you want to call 911, don't do it tomorrow. Did that answer you? So yes. Christine or the doctors have the information for you.
Do they work?
Yes. Because they're
The ones
randomly,
the
correct?
ones we put in are in the home. We are still working, with the new cell towers, we're willing to try the cellular units again. We haven't had great success, but now we have new towers, so we'll try it if that's what you want.
Okay.
So, but you can talk to me or the clinic.
I would strongly suggest a landline. They don't go out as frequently.
No, I'm talking about walking.
Like
Yeah.
being outside and walking, you'd want more like a cellular unit.
Last I heard 600 feet?
I'd have to check with my provider.
Yeah, the last time I looked into it, it was 600 feet, I don't know.
check with the
Didn't
provider.
do what do you think our biggest call? Am I boring you guys yet? Do you wanna go home? Okay. Our number one call on Washington, actually all of Door County, anybody wanna take a guess? Falls. What can I do to prevent falls? Anything loose on the ground. Everybody knew that I was out for 6 weeks. That was not it was a fall. Technically, by definition, it was a fall. It was more Gary's stupidity. I was loading something in the truck, and the truck rolled, and I actually tore my calf, actually the whole calf, in half. So that was exciting. But falls are number one. Mostly tripping hazards. Those really pretty things you gotta put around your toilets, those people fall on those a lot. They're slippery, your slippers catch them, and you just go over. Thresholds between tile and carpet, tile and whatever, wood floors, those are big tripping hazards. Stairs,
Especially carpeted stairs.
carpeted stairs are horrible. Yes. Pets, yeah. Ask my wife, our German Shepherd takes her out at least once a day. So, he's very excitable. If you do have rugs, I know they're pretty, please tape them down. They make products, 3M makes them, there's a couple different ones. Professional carpet companies have stuff. It's a carpet adhesive that will actually stick. So instead of just folding up and taking you out, you'll actually, stub your toe and go down, I guess. But that has helped quite a few people that were falling multiple times. Is getting that.
Always keep salt around.
Salt is a good thing, yeah. So falls is our number one. Our next one is probably just medical calls, general medical. Last year was a little bit down for us. For as good of tourism season as we had, the medical side, we had 117 calls last year, which was pretty good compared to the year before was 226. So, but this is the first year where we had 2 ambulances rolling at the same time twice. So, one 911 call goes out, we go to that call, second 911 call that comes in, the next one goes out. So remember, I staffed 2 people 24/7, 365. We've been staffed now 5 years, roughly. Washington Island is the only place in Door County that's never had an open shift. That's dedication by Joan, Lee, some of our older people they're retired. They've been taking younger, close to the station people.
You know, our motto is seniors helping seniors.
Seniors helping seniors. They won't let me put that on the ambulance yet. I think it's hilarious. And they own it, so it's great. Joan is probably one of my top hours. It's just how the church works with her, and she's able to take a lot of hours. Our next person does roughly 84 hours every 2 weeks. So that's 82, it is a full-time job. They make a whole $7.25 waiting for that pager to go off, an hour. So to say they're overpaid is not true. And that was something I fought for when the county took us over. Everybody else in the county was getting paid to be on call. It was a little carrot to put out there to say, hey, maybe we can get some of these young bodies to come. And it worked for a while. We gained, let's see, when I moved up here in 09, I was the youngest at 34. I was the youngest EMT at 34 years old. Now our youngest EMR is 20. She might be 21 now. Caitlin.
Yeah,
She just turned 21,
Yeah.
I believe, recently. So Caitlin Schultz is my youngest right now. So we have a good young crew right now. We're doing pretty well.
And Lee is 85 and he's still working.
85 and probably he does take the most hours. Lee Engstrom.
So how can we as a community support that and increase that hourly fee to, you know, keep it going?
It's the county, what we ask for. Now again, we can be at home. So the difference is we're allowed to be at home, respond to the station if the pager goes off. We're making minimum wage. And that's all we want. There's people up here that don't wanna take that, but I had to throw a carrot out there for our young bodies to maybe stay here as a part-time job. Now, I will tell you that I probably put in the most hours with my administrative duties with the county. Nobody's making it rich on EMS. I would bet the average, just give or take, $15,000 a year, part-time job. But they get to sit at home, they can cut their grass at home, as long as when the pager goes off, they can come. Our second call out isn't free for all. I only have to guarantee one crew the first out emergency. So if you call 911 for a fall, uninjured, just want to get checked out, want to say hi to Gary. Gary's working tomorrow, so I want to say hi to Gary, so I'm going to call 911. First out crew is the only one that has to show up. Okay? The rest of my EMTs do not have a duty to act. It's a law. They are a free-for-all volunteer system after that. Only 2 people getting paid. Today, standing here, Joan is making a whole $7.25 an hour. And her partner is Lee Engstrom, who is at home making $7.25 an hour. The rest of us are not paid. That's a big misconception about the ambulance. The rest of us don't get paid until we get called out as EMR or an EMT. Then we go on as a second crew. If it's a really bad call and Joan says, hey, I need some help back here, I can throw another EMT in and I can pay him at that point. But Joan and Lee, like today, are the only 2 getting paid. Everybody else is just doing whatever they want to do.
But if they go on a call, do they get paid? If they show up?
If they go on the call, yes. Yep, at that point, once the pager goes off, they'll get paid. Yep. Our EMRs make I think they just raised it, $22 an hour. And they get a minimum of 1 hour when the pager goes off. Whether I have 20 people there, which doesn't happen, I can tell you that, or I have 2 people there, each person makes $20 an hour for the first responders.
What's the difference between an EMR, an EMT, and a paramedic?
I'm gonna give you the commercial state answer. Okay. An EMT has 296 hours worth of training, not including their every year training. They have to go through 48 hours of refreshers, things like that. An EMR, the initial training is only 80 hours. But what they do is just important. There's not much an EMR can do anymore other than drive the ambulance.
So they have to go for more training.
They don't have to go on the call. They don't transport. There's 4 medications that they can't give that we can as EMTs versus first responder. So they can't give 4 medications. And splinting, a couple splints they can't do. But all those things I can train a monkey to do tomorrow.
But all of our
Our EMRs, I would take
our
the
EMTs though.
Just amazing.
All of our EMRs are EMTs, it's how they're acting on a response.
Yeah.
Like what their role is that day.
So if I'm off tonight, I already told you that Joan and Lee are the only 2 that have to go to the call. If 911 gets called out, Joan and Lee are the only 2 that have to go to the call. Nobody else has to get off their couch. Now if I do, I'm responding then as an EMR, first responder. It's a new term for first responder. EMR and first responder are the same. Now first responder, the true definition of a first responder is anybody that helps up until 911 is called. So first aid, Good Samaritan, those are first responders. Even a cop gets to be a first responder. Now EMR is the next step. They have a little bit more training. They have 80 hours worth of schooling. They have to go through 16 hours of refresher time. And then they can do a couple more things than the average person. EMT is the next step that allows us to transport. We can, again, give those couple more medications, do some splinting. Then we have 2 currently IV technicians on the island. They don't have to show up. It's only if they're on call. So it's not like, hey, Jake, I need to have you come here and help me. No, it's if he shows up, he can work as a EMT or an IV tech now they call them, where he can do some IVs, a couple more medications. The level next to that, next up, would be the paramedic. And currently, we have a paramedic on the island, but she is not a Door County ambulance person yet. We're working on it. That would give us a lot more options as her as a medic. She was supposed to be here today, but she bailed on me. She didn't want to talk, she's shy. She was also my first responder of the year, so I invited her with me today.
How many times you turn out in a year, what's your average?
This year was 117, 119, something like that.
17, 19?
117,
Oh,
roughly.
117.
Yep, calls. Our average is 150 to 200 right now,
In a year.
in a year. Yeah, and that can range from anything from unresponsive to CPR in progress. So it's all the things.
Smoke alarm at Velcro
Smoke alarm at Velcro, pool noodle at Rock Island, that looks like somebody drowning. What else are some of the funny ones we've had? Bike off the cliff.
How about the lady who backed off the cliff?
Oh, yeah.
The lady that backed up. The bike off the cliff was kind of funny because the bike had been off that cliff for about 15 years.
Oh.
They just happened to take their boat around and saw it this time. So, talk about a couple other things. If you guys want to stay, you can leave whenever you want. I will be here. I don't mind this at all. So, one of the big changes in the EMS field is Narcan and overdoses. So, how many of you have, in the last year, when you went to get medications, did the pharmacist ask you if you want Narcan? None? Shocking. A lot of the pharmacists, if you get certain medications, they are just giving you Narcan now to take home. Yeah, overdosing. We've given Narcan this year 4 times, not on purpose. It's somebody that had a surgery or had something going on, and they took their medication. And with an opioid, we know we forget things, and things aren't really straight because we're on cloud 9 and forgetting life. So they go, I don't know if I took my pills, so they take another one, and then they take another one. And they take okay. We don't see it up here, thank God. But one of the things we're seeing in the county is this age group not being able to afford their medications. So they're buying it from somebody. That's not good. Right now, from what I'm understanding, I had a drug task force meeting yesterday. Everything they're buying in Door County is laced with fentanyl, including your weed. Okay? Scary. I don't know if you know this, but drug dealers aren't very clean people. I know, shocker, right? So when they are gathering their medications, and they want to put this under this baggie, and they want to put this on this baggie, they still use the same table.
Yeah.
So if they were cutting fentanyl yesterday, it's on the same table as they're cutting their weed today. So, that's what we're hearing. We have the new pretty pink fentanyl in Door County that just came up yesterday. They are buying Xanax like crazy. They are buying, there's a new, it's not THC, it's a new synthetic that they're buying. Remember the bath salt thing when that was around a couple years ago where people were smoking bath salts?
Yep.
Don't know. There are new synthetics out there that they're seeing in Door County. So that's my little thing. If you think you're on an opioid, a narcotic, and you want Narcan, please come see me, come see Christy. We have a grant. She had it through United Way.
Actually, those are from Public Health.
Public Health?
Those come through Public Health.
So Public Health
So we can
is
get-
giving it away now. That's how bad. They had 2 overdoses last night in Door County. Same with Narcan. Every officer in Door County is carrying Narcan. I carry 4 doses of Narcan in my squad car. I also carry 1 on me at all times, because we're doing traffic stops, and if that stuff is inside the house, inside the car, you put on their fan, and so.
How do you know you need it, or someone just in your house and
So what the opioid actually does is it blocks the receptors in the brain that says, hey, you need to breathe.
So it stops you.
That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of other signs and symptoms, but yeah, that's the biggest one is stopping breathing, which turns into, hey, happy heart day, or happy heart month, right? Because if you don't breathe, then the heart goes next. We had, I can tell you, we did have 1 successful save where it was actually a narcotic that was the issue. That was a few years ago, where we gave Narcan for the first time. We had Narcan on our ambulance for 2 days, and we had a save with it.
Well, that's impressive.
Kind of cool. The beauty is, anybody can use it. No contraindications. You can give it to yourself right now, and it would not cause any problems. Narcan is the coolest drug that we carry right now because of the no side effects. You can give it to anybody. Biggest side effect you do have to worry about if it is an overdose, puking and fighting. We can give an injection. It's nasal mist. I should have brought I have a trainer I could have brought and shown you.
Yeah, Gary, do you have a container for expired meds?
We do at the office. So we will take in any medications you want to get rid of. Please don't flush them down the toilet. A couple years ago, I wrote for a DEA grant. And part of the grant was CVS Pharmacy was donating these $3,000 mailboxes, essentially. And I was granted the grant. So it's at the office. Tyler and I ask no questions. You can bring them in. You can bring in, if you bought it from CVS Pharmacy or you bought it from Johnny on the corner. You can bring it in and drop it off. We will just, at the police station. Yep, it's right inside the door, sitting right there. If we're there, we won't even say hi to you if you don't want us to say hi to you. But the nice thing is, so right now I'm actually cleaning up our evidence log. I'm the evidence tech up here. I'm cleaning up our evidence logger to ship down to the DEA what we brought in the last year. I have 3 boxes of pills.
Ooh.
Probably about 45 pounds a box of pills from this little island. So, yeah.
So you can bring pills on that, like your.
You can bring them in a bottle, you can, in a bag, just drop them, yep. Anything, if you have sharps and you want to get rid of sharps, if you're diabetic, please don't throw them away down the island exchange. We have not a needle exchange, but we actually have a needle box exchange where I will give you a fresh box. You can take it home. It's a hazardous materials box that you can put your needles in there for the month, bring them in, and I'll give you a new one next month. No question asked. We don't want them in the dump. We don't want them in the woods.
So is any kinds of pills, like aspirin
Yep.
or
I don't care if it's for your gerbil or your horse. I'll take it all.
That
Yep.
way it doesn't get in the water supply.
It doesn't go in the water supply. Exactly. Uh-oh, now we're gonna get kicked out. Yep. So we talked about what happens when you call 911. My ambulance shows up with 2 EMTs and as many first responders that want to come play today. Now what? Uh-oh, now I gotta make some decisions, right? If you're conscious and alert, you can answer a bunch of questions for me. Person, place, time, event, who the no, I'm not gonna ask you who the president is, I don't wanna get punched. We don't care who the president is, that's a question we don't ask. I'm not gonna, well, I am gonna ask you your age when it gets to the billing portion. I'm gonna ask what happened, do you know where you are? What happened? And why am I here as an EMT? If you can answer those questions, you have the right to refuse care. Even if your husband or spouse, loved one called 911 because you're acting a little crazy. Sarah keeps threatening me that, but I told her that I could answer the questions yet. So as long as you can answer my questions, you have the right to refuse care. I do not have to take you to the hospital. I don't want to take you to the hospital if you don't need it. and you'll never see a bill from Washington on a refusal. So please call 911 if you think you need it. Don't wait until I have to pull out all this paperwork that says I do not resuscitate and all these things. Call 911, that's what we're here for. Joan wants to get up tonight. Or are you done at 6? Yeah. Okay, don't call tonight or tomorrow. So, you have the right to refuse any ambulance service you want. You have the right to refuse a person on the ambulance. You don't get along with me? That's fine, I don't care. Sign here. I'll go home. It's as easy as that. You can refuse certain medications, you can refuse, we've had people refuse laying down on the cot. We've had people, what are some other great refusals we've had?
That'd be a HIPAA violation.
Yeah. Refusal to ride the boat. I had that one time. I refused to ride the boat. Well, how did you get here? Because maybe you can't answer my questions. You miss a part of your day. Something, I don't know. But there are ways to refuse. All we're going to ask you to do is give us your name, all your stuff for Medicare that we have to do because we have to track every call we go on for the state of Wisconsin. And at that point, we would ask you, do you want to go to the hospital? And how many people say, yes, I want to go to the hospital? So I'm going to talk you into going to the hospital. Or try to, if I think you. I am not going to take you to the hospital if I don't think you need to go to the hospital. There's not one EMT that works for me that wants to go to the hospital either. We don't like the hospital. We'd much rather you stay here. But if you need to go, we are happy to serve. Okay? What can you do? What can you do to make this experience even better for you? I got a list of things you want to write down or remember.
There's paper and pen on the desk.
On your thing. What I want you to do is I want you to have a go bag ready. A go bag is what we call
And there's a little hint on the back of the card.
I want you to get your worst pair of underwear, your holiest socks that are clean, your oldest pair of pants, and your oldest garden shirt. And put that in a bag that you never want to see again. Okay? Because I want you to have this packed and ready this afternoon. So if I come to your house tomorrow and say, where's your go bag? You can go, there it is. I don't want you packing after you call 911. I want this done before you call 911. Go to, last I saw, True Value down in Sturgeon Bay had a bargain bin. And they had cell phone cords for $3. Get yourself a cell phone cord for your phone.
You put it in your bag.
Put it in your bag.
Tell them why they have to have crappy clothes, Gary. You're joking.
No, I'm not joking. I just don't want you to have your Sunday best. We don't care about your Sunday best to bring along. This is the stuff after we have done all of our things. The hospital has had you for 3 days. You're in a pretty gown at the hospital, and now you want to come home. We want you in a pair of clothing other than scrubs. We did have one patient come back in scrubs. It was
Yeah.
He probably should have tied it better. You know what I mean? If you've ever had a scrub on, you understand what I'm saying. But your holiest, crappiest pair of shoes, flip-flops, slippers, whatever it is, put those in there so you, because most likely when you fall at 3 o'clock in the morning, none of this stuff is going to be on. And if it is, I'm going to ask a question. Where were you last night at 3 o'clock in the morning? No. Have an extra prescription bottle. See if the pharmacist sometimes will split your prescriptions. Ask them for a prescription bottle for $3. They'll do it. They used to. I shouldn't say they will. They used to do it. So you can have 3 pills in a prescription bottle in your go bag. So when you're leaving the hospital and it's 5 o'clock in the evening and you have to stay at the Best Western, you have your pills. Okay? Joan, what else are we missing on those? I had a list.
Well, your glasses,
Your toiletries.
Yeah, your glasses, your phone, your.
We're going to try remembering your hearing aid, unless we don't want you to hear us.
Maybe a little extra cash, just in case.
We do have a cash, a credit card, a spare credit card, your debit card. We try to make sure all this stuff is together, but again, we are going to hold up you getting to the hospital to look for all this stuff. I could tell you my longest day on this island, waiting for a person to be ready, has been 45 minutes. They called 911 that this is an emergency, and I chased her around the house for 45 minutes while she got her go bag together. Because she knew when I got there, she had been at my last talk 6 years ago, and she knew she wasn't ready with her go bag, and that wasn't going to happen. Check the Goodwill. If you do need a cane, check Goodwill, see if they have an extra cane. I never say take your good cane, because sometimes they get forgotten at the hospital.
Yes.
So, go get one of those cheap ones. Christine might even have an extra.
I was just gonna, to add on, if you go down to Door County Medical, the neighbor-to-neighbor equipment loan program we work with also works with the hospital and can loan out certain items at the hospital for you.
I really wish I would have had a pair of
And then you
crutches.
can get them back to us if you need to, and we'll get them back where they need to go.
Copy of your medications. If you don't want to get your medications, just have a copy of your different medications written out. Your dosages is real helpful.
The card.
Helpful.
The card.
On the file, yep.
On the card.
And that does bring us to this card. So like Christine said, we did create this. It's not because we want all this information. This is all the information that you will need once you get to the hospital also. It's all your allergies, it is your medications, it is major surgeries. I don't care about your toe pain 3 years ago. What are some other things? Major medical conditions, your emergency contacts. Who do you want me to call if I have to take you out this island?
Please identify
Right.
for yourselves if you're on blood thinners, because that'll be one of our first questions
Yep.
for you. So look at your medications and ask your provider if this is
Same.
blood thinner.
Same one. You know her. On here, it tells you, or it says DNR. This is not a DNR order. I had somebody hand me this and say I have a DNR. As we talked about before, they did not have a bracelet. So, if you want some, Christine has them, she has the file she can print off. If you don't like red, there's orange back there.
Well, we can print them on another color.
What I'd love for you to do is put it, the first place my EMTs are told to look is on your refrigerator. We have trained this since the day that I've been up here, your refrigerator or inside your freezer. And if you have a frozen pizza, they'll probably eat that.
Well, that's why you put it in the freezer.
Put it in gas.
Eric, on the, 3-day supply of your meds.
Yep.
Right? But you have to change that at
Yep.
least 6 months to every year.
Yep.
You gotta put ETO ones to put in the new ones.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, just rotate them out.
It could be 4 years between, hopefully. And
So
then
could
you have
those-
something that's 4 years old.
Yep. Well, we found a lot more, where is she? What was your medication today? Expired in 2000,
Imodium in 2013.
I'm sure that works out. I hope your lunch was good.
Well, they help get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Any questions from you guys? This is your time, please.
I'm sorry, I just have one more question, and if you covered it, I'm not sure you did. What exactly constitutes heroic measures?
CPR,
That's heroic measure?
intubation, CPR.
I'm glad I asked.
Yep.
Because you did mention that, but I just skipped over it because I thought,
Yep.
I kind of think of heroic measures as, when they cut the throat in.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, that I could see, but those are heroic measures.
Yeah. Defibrillation, CPR, defibrillation, intubation.
Yeah, I remember what you said, I
Cardiac
just didn't
arrest.
think they counted.
Yep. It's that easy.
Wow.
Any other questions? I am always available. You can always call the police department if you have questions on this stuff. Probably 4 days a week. My truck is sitting at the dairy. I'm usually there. Today I have to switch over an ambulance at 4 o'clock, so I'll be there. We're getting a new ambulance, well, new to us ambulance, because last night the tire blew out on one of our ambulances, so that was exciting. But I'm usually available at either at the police department, obviously, about 9 days a week,
Sometimes he's here.
Sometimes
see
I'm
his
here.
car.
Flag me down, flash your lights at me, I'm pretty easy.
Don't go speeding by him though.
Yeah, that's not a way to get my attention.
Yeah.
Well, it is, it's not good productive.
I wanna thank you guys. When Christine told me 57 people showed up to this, that means 57 people are gonna talk to somebody. This stuff's important to me. I think we have, that sounded like my pager for 1 second. I'm having chest pains. I really do appreciate you guys being here. I will talk whenever you guys don't have to wait 6 years to hear me again.
We're gonna have him back.
So, thank you everyone. Thanks for the invite.
Okay, we're gonna do our drawing really quick. Yep, they will. Your colors.
I'm gonna leave the legal here. I'm not responsible for who is drawn.
Oh, I'm reading it.
Gary Schultz. Close.
We also have COVID test and mask up here, help yourself. These are medication lock boxes, Narcan, travel medication lock boxes or bags. Help yourself to any of this. And lots of forms if you're interested.